I am Shobana Sharma. I am the co-chair, and along with Carol Kosery, who is here. But we'd like to welcome you to our meeting this evening. It's going to be kind of a short meeting. It's not a long meeting this evening, but we will have development updates for out our master plan area regarding the Shady Grove sector plan area. We will have from Mr. David Dice the Jeremiah Park update. He is our Montgomery County General Services Director and very, very helpful. We are so lucky to have him as part of an advocate and part of this team. And then we have Aaron Kraut. I feel the same way about Aaron. He is the chief of staff for our council member, Ludke, Dawn Ludke. And if you need something, he's always very helpful. So thank you both for being here this evening. And then we'll close out the meeting. But prior to us doing that, we will look to see if there's any other topics or questions that community members may want to ask or talk about before we close the meeting this evening. This meeting is being recorded, and you can find the notes on the Shady Grove Sector Plan website. So with that, I will go ahead and move forward to the development updates. Who will give the development updates?
I will just note. So I think we really didn't meet during the summer, but prior to the summer, there was a presentation for a property owner on Standish Place. That's an office park that's being redeveloped into 2 over 2s and townhouses. That's still sort of working its way through. It's going to come through as a local map amendment, which is a rezoning of the property. There's been some design changes that have been done, and maybe for the year, maybe early next year, a local map amendment will come before the planning board and then go to the hearing examiner and then eventually the council for their up and down vote. So that's sort of happening in the background, and then there's another smaller storage property on the Shady Grove Station, the called the West Side area of the sector plan, sort of south of Redland Road, sort of small scale.
Right, that's Paramount. That's Paramount Drive, right?
Yeah, it's.
Is that an expansion of the storage facility that's already there, or what?
No, it's being proposed as a new storage. So the property owner is in the process of submitting again a local map amendment to rezone that property to actually have the storage facility. The sector plan does not really encourage or support this use or the type of development that's being considered. So it's not yet been officially submitted to the planning department. But once it is submitted, I'll obviously share that information with this group regarding the property owner's concept. So it's at the intersection of Somerville Drive and Paramount, not to sort of a block and a half from Redland Road, right near the metro station, sort of south side.
It's currently the vacant lot, right?
No, it's not a vacant lot. You have an existing storage facility on it. There's several small, sort of one level, orange, brownish storage facilities.
Yeah, that's a really problematic area, to tell you the truth. And every time I go by there, I wonder if I should be talking to somebody about it, because there are all these 18-wheelers that park there constantly, and a couple of vehicles that even look like they're abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. Maybe that's something I should bring to your attention, Aaron.
Yes.
So this, if it's in opposition to our sector plan, we definitely want to oppose this. I mean, this is not the type of planning and the type of move forward look that we're looking for this area, right? I mean, I don't understand. So I mean,
Yeah, so it's a rezoning petition. So the proverbial burden is on the property owner to make the case that what's being considered is suitable for
Okay.
this area. So again, at least at a high level, we at planning have expressed to the property owner of our thoughts regarding what they're considering. And it's obviously it's up to them to if they want to pursue the local map amendment or not. But I think we've made our position sort of clear to them.
Thank you.
So yeah,
you'll
so
also,
once I get more information, I'll be able to share it with you and the rest of the group.
excellent. Then we'll figure out how to do whatever we need to do based
Yeah.
on wherever they are.
Correct.
In,
All right,
in terms of your neighborhood, Shovana, are they getting ready to break ground on that third multifamily or what?
Well, that's yes, they are. I think by they're working, they've cleared it all out, they've leveled all the ground, taken
Yeah, I
away the
noticed
dirt.
that. Yeah.
So I think before the end of the year, they're going to start doing something. Nikosi, you may have better information because it's been a few weeks since I heard updates. Do you know when they're going to, or is all the permitting done?
I cannot answer on the permitting side, but I think it's like first quarter of 25.
Okay. All
You may
right.
get seeing some more activity on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking about the multifamily there, which is the final section, multifamily development of the west side, EYA is proceeding forth. It's going to be very similar to the building that was just opened earlier this year, and with multifamily and street level retail, including the library space. And that is moving forward with steady progress.
Yeah. Which is good. You know, it has its pluses, but I will just say, as an overall general thought on this project, nobody really thought about the parking needs. And, you know, with all this development, and even though there's retail spaces that are not being rented, there's parking in the garages, which is really not being used. The tenants of the buildings are using street parking at West Side. It's just really, the parking is just a horrible, horrible situation. And it's pretty much the bane of our existence over here. So, you know, we would hope, is there going to be underground parking in this last building?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, but I can,
Right.
I'll tell you what, I'll get an update on the progress of that and email you, Shovana, so that you can send it
Thank you.
out to the group.
Thank you very much. Well,
We've
since
got,
we're doing,
we've got a couple of questions in the chat.
actually, may I just ask one question before you go to the chat? Since it's a development update, how about Shady Grove Road and Crabs Branch, the remaining parcel at West Side?
That's one of your questions.
Oh, okay, good. Is that, how are we proceeding? Are we proceeding with the 40 townhomes over there?
Yes.
That was what I had heard. So we are
Yes.
getting 40 townhomes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is that signed, sealed, and delivered?
It's not delivered, but it's signed and sealed. And to your earlier comment, it does include parking for those units.
This is the undeveloped
Yes,
Correct.
Crabs
property
Branch.
at West Side.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but David, just to add to what you said, the parking at West Side is park in your garage. The street parking's for visitors only. So
Yeah.
you're talking about the garages that will come with those homes as the parking, right?
Yeah, I don't know to what extent they're street level parking. I can send you a proposed development plan to show you what that looks like.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, right now, the way we have it on most of our major streets, there's visitor parking on one side or the other.
Right.
So if that's not there, that is going to further stress out our situation.
No, I
So,
believe that was a point that we stressed to EYA, that we've heard your complaints about parking, and I believe that's been addressed, but I'll confirm that and send you an update.
Yeah.
So this is the property that the last that I heard, they were talking about doing condos. So now we're talking about townhouses.
Yes.
Okay.
So just to answer Anna's question, there's no rezoning. This is where the 40 townhomes are going, because I know our community was interested in having some green space versus, having just townhomes or, more
Right.
building.
It is more developed. I guess on the bright side, once the east side is developed, there's going to be about 8 acres of green space. It's the park area, 4 acres, and then the proposed school site, but schools has no plans in any sense of the near term to build a school there. So that will be an open green space for the
Yeah.
larger community.
So just since I do have some neighbors here, Ted, this is the property on Crabs Branch, the corner, right, above Front Street. So it's borders Crabs Branch and Shady Grove. Pretty much, if you look at the west side, it's the last parcel of empty land that we have here. Another owner says, why wasn't green space considered? Are the residents of this area's suggestions ever going to be considered? More townhomes is absolutely ridiculous. So this is the sentiment that we have here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So pretty much, guys, it is what it is. Somebody is saying, I thought it was zoned for commercial space. Is that true?
It was intended, it wasn't zoned, but it was intended originally for commercial space. But given the awkwardness of that site and its proximity to Shady Grove and Crabs
Yeah.
Branch intersection, the ingress and egress out of that site made it untenable for commercial development.
Yeah. And you're right about that. That's not really a good space for commercial. I do have a question though, as far as the garden that's supposed to be there. We're
Right.
supposed to have a garden. That is still in the plan, right?
I
Nothing has
believe it
changed with
is.
that?
Yes. Yeah, I believe it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
So one of the things that some residents may be interested in, not all, would maybe take some of that space for the vegetable garden and turning it into some green space. So,
Okay.
even I don't know how big the garden is. I don't know how big the plots are going to be. So maybe some information on that would be helpful.
All right.
The square footage and how many garden plots that actually is.
Okay.
Because if there's hundreds, we have a community of small children here, and there's really no place for them to play. And waiting for 10 years to have 8 acres across the street.
Yeah, there won't be little kids anymore.
That'll be in
No.
high school.
It's kind of difficult. And,
Yeah.
we would, for our neighbors, really need to have something else.
Okay. Well, I'll send you what we have.
Thank you, David.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions, West Side? I just, it's good you all are here. We have some active members here and asking great questions. So thank you for that. But you've heard it really from, the best source we have as to what's going to happen in that space now. So you can just tell your friends. Okay. If there are no further questions, we'll go ahead and move on at this time. Any other updates that anybody wants to ask about related to the development in the sector plan? I've got a question from one neighbor, and you probably are not the right person to answer this, but asking for some spots that are dedicated to West Side owners in that third multifamily building. Because, there are owners here that have 3 cars, 4 cars, or 2 larger cars. And we're not allowed to use street parking based upon our bylaws, which, we're working on trying to get those amended. But we'll be going to the county for that once we figure out what exactly we can do. We have paid metro parking where we can pay park at the metro, but it's not really secure. So we did try to get spaces in the Laureate, rent them. Some owners were willing to pay 75, $100 a month, but they said no. So if we can try to get some spaces in this third multifamily building for that purpose, that that we would pay for, just as residents or tenants in that building, that might be an alternative we could offer to our owners over here. So I don't know who we talked to, probably EYA about that, or
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any prohibitions from the county on that you're aware of?
No, none that I'm aware of. No, I was sitting here trying to recall the terms and conditions, but it's a straightforward development agreement. But
Yeah,
we'll talk to
because
the EYA folks.
I did talk to Adam Hayes about that when I was
Mhm.
trying to get parking at the Laureate, and he said it was in the agreement that they couldn't do that. So
Well, we'll
there's
check.
something there. Thank you. That would be great. Because this community here was based and formed and formulated based upon it being a metro community. But
Right.
this is not a metro community. A small proportion of the folks that live here use the metro. Everybody has cars. So it is not actually as envisioned by the county, and it is a real problem. You have to sell your house or rent your house, you have to tell people they can park on the street, which is a flat out lie, because we're not allowed to.
Who's parking on the street now that's causing the problem?
You want to know my true assessment? The owners
Wow.
are parking. We are using visitor tags. We're issued 2 visitor tags per home, and for folks who have more than the amount of cars that can fit in their garage, or the cars are too large, or they're using their garage for storage and they don't want to park in their garage or don't park in their garage, they're using those visitor tags to park on the street.
Mm.
So our HOA as of 9/15/2024 is now starting to tow owners' cars using visitor tags.
Wow.
So it is a huge problem, and it's difficult. It's very difficult, and so it's just not a in terms of being a great community, it is, but for this one reason, it's a terrible community. It really is. I'm sure most people would agree with me. And I think for the county, this type of development really needs to be thought about. I mean, because we're at the metro, from what I understand, our community and another community in Prince George's County that EYA did have in our bylaws, which I believe were approved and actually written with the developer and Montgomery County, this statement, that owners shall park in their garages, no street parking for owners. So not only do we have to work to get 60% of our owners to vote for a change, then we have to take that and go to the county to see if they'll even do it. So it's another long drawn out process, and a very frustrating one for everybody that lives here. So anyway, all right. I don't have any other questions about West Side. So if we want to go ahead and move on, Nikosi, were there any other updates that you wanted to make?
No, that's all I have.
John, did you have any community updates, or Aaron?
No, not particularly. The just the Washington Grove connector bike path, which will end up connecting a good deal, well, all of Washington Grove and a good deal of Gaithersburg to Crabs Branch, along Crabs Branch bike pathway to the metro. Looks like it's going to not be actually constructed until fiscal 26, which is unfortunate. But the engineering is going on, so that's something.
Why is it taking so long, or why till 26? Funding?
No, it's not funding at all. It is, this is just what it takes. It's, apparently the projects literally take 3 years if you factor in the engineering of, and this is a small project, actually. There's engineering, there's permits, which is a extended process, unfortunately. I'm sure Mr. Dice knows about this. Even if it's DOT asking for the permits, that's a 6 to 9 month, if you're lucky, turnaround.
Mhm.
So anyway, the bottom line is, yeah, well, believe me, we are very frustrated. But the good news is that the funding for construction is in the current budget. It won't be used. It's unlikely it will be used, but hopefully it will be transferred to the following year.
Yeah,
So-
capital project funding is not dependent upon the fiscal year. Once it's funded, it's funded.
Okay, well, I'm glad, that would be excellent news. So we don't have to go through that persuasion. And we know when money gets tight, reasonably so, you reassess priorities. So, yeah, that's about the only thing I can think of that is relevant, I think, to the sector plan.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll get the buses moved at the same time, right?
Well, that would be a miracle, but yeah.
Well, no, I'm
Whoa.
banking on David Dice to get something going in 2025 for us.
You see David's loss of hair?
Wow.
It's largely attributed to that bus depot.
That's right. When I
pretty
came to
sure.
Montgomery County 17 years ago, I had a full head of hair.
Right.
Now it's all moved south on my face.
Nicosi's loss of hair was more related to the master plan itself, but
Because he's never had hair.
I know. At least in our memory, anyway.
We have such a great team of people here that there's absolutely no way that we can't get something going on over at the east side. And it's happening. It is happening.
It is.
It's a matter of time. But we have to, keep trudging on, keep our eye on the goal line, and keep the pressure on the county, and work together. We will get it done. None of us may live here anymore, but somebody at some time will enjoy the east side. I'm sure of it. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to David Dice to give us the Jeremiah Park updates, please.
Okay, great. Good segue. So I'll jump in on that last comment. Our target is and remains 2030. So it's not that far away. To give you an update on our progress on the Jeremiah Park Depot project, you guys have been at meetings with our consultant and partner in the early stages, the Development Design Collective, and we've been holding various public meetings since April through September. And the full report on the result of all of those meetings is being prepared right now, and will be available in November. So in about a couple weeks, we'll have the full report on that, and that will be posted on the project website. Which, again, for those of you that don't know, it's a very easy URL. It's jeremiahparkproject.com. I was on the site earlier today to make sure everything is current, and it is. We have a traffic engineering firm that's working for the county, and they're undertaking a traffic impact analysis of the proposed development, both of the depot and the subsequent residential and commercial development that will be on the east side, and that report also is expected in November. I'm not sure of the date at this time, but within the next month, we'll have the traffic engineering study available for everyone's review. We've continued our discussions with WMATA, led by the Department of Transportation, and working with WMATA and State Highway Administration to transfer the Metro access road to the county. Everybody's playing nice in the sandbox, no issues involved in that. It's just the process of getting these transfers and approvals done. And that will allow all the bus traffic that is intended for the depot to come in off of that road. Promise I made to you folks a year or two ago is that the development there would remove bus traffic from Crabs Branch Way and direct it instead to the Metro access road. Our intention is I'll restate, is that the only buses you see are picking people up or dropping them off, but are not en route to some other place. I can pause. Ted Willard has a question.
Yeah, just a very, very quick one in that transfer. Is that taking the Metro Access Road all the way from 370 and transferring all of that part, or from the standpoint of Shady Grove, or just where's the line being drawn for that?
It's all from Shady Grove Road, everything that's the frontage across the property. To be honest, Metro wants to get rid of the whole thing. It includes some area of that loop road coming off of the ICC. So it's everything that be south of the ICC.
Okay. Gotcha.
All the way up to Metro.
Thanks.
We've also engaged the major utilities in the area, WSSC and PEPCO, to talk to them about infrastructure. WSSC, in all likelihood, will probably have to run an additional water main to the site, but they're looking at that. They were somewhat confident that the existing infrastructure was sufficient. The site won't require a great deal of water unless we're generating hydrogen on the site, but we don't anticipate doing that in any major way. Our hydrogen generation will be over at the existing depot on the north side of Shady Grove Road and up at the landfill site that we're putting in solar panels, and we'll be generating hydrogen there. So we met with WSSC. It was a very positive meeting. We have a meeting upcoming with PEPCO. PEPCO is really the critical factor here because, again, our commitment is that this will be an all-electric or hydrogen facility. There won't be a single diesel gas pump on site. And but the concern, of course, is PEPCO having an existing infrastructure to supply power. We will, as you have seen the plans, have a great deal of solar generation taking place, and that will be a large factor, but it won't be sufficient to charge all of the buses that will be on site. So we will rely on some off-site PEPCO service to the site. And again, our intention is to let our partners know, utility partners know well in advance of the project so that they can develop their own capital plans to make their existing infrastructure more robust in supplying our needs. WSSC was very positive and appreciative of letting us know what our plans were 6 years in advance of the need. And I'm sure our initial conversations by email with PEPCO have been equally positive. But again, we're trying to meet with them, their executive staff, as well as their engineering staff to work out those details. And I know it's been a concern for some folks, and it's a reasonable concern concerning the name of the project. Jeremiah Park has some history to it. I discussed this with the county executive, and he has approved and directed us to change the name of the project. We don't have a name yet, but we're leaving it as it is, Jeremiah Park Project, because it's already out on the street and well known, and a name change at this point would be unnecessary and confusing. But when the project actually goes to construction, it will have a different name. I don't know again what that name is, but a name change is coming. And then lastly, regarding where we are specifically with the project, We did issue a request for qualifications, and that was posted on the website. And our development consultant, Jones Lang LaSalle, JLL, has helped us to socialize that project, to make it known. I can tell you that over 200 hits were made to the RFQ site, with almost 100 downloads of the document. We've gotten such a robust response to it, which is all very encouraging. That we were originally going to receive qualification proposals in late October. That date was extended to November 8th. In order to give time for to answer questions that we were receiving and to respond to those questions. The November 8th, though, is a fixed date because I've instructed my team. I want some speed under this so that we can make our 2030 deadline. After the qualification statements are received on the 8th, our intention is to dedicate staff to 2 weeks of review of whatever we get, and shortlist 3 or 4 teams who will then be invited to submit proposals that are design proposals, financing proposals, and we will shortlist them at that point, at which time a final request for proposals to those shortlists that are qualified groups, because it won't be a single firm. We anticipate seeing proposals that are limited partnerships or joint ventures between contractors, developers, financiers, and others to make up the entirety of that team. So we have to look at all of the qualifications of each of those. And obviously, our focus is making sure that it's a cohesive team that will last over the development time. The intent is that we'll award a long-term agreement to a company that will both design, construct, and maintain the facility over a 30-year period. The county will continue to operate it, both schools, ride-on, and DGS mechanics will continue to work in that facility, but the facility itself will be maintained and by our private partner. So the RFQ was issued on September 20th. If you're into the details and want to read it yourself, there's a separate website for that. That's Jeremiah Park rfdp.com. So that's where we're at. November 8th is the next great milestone. I'm very curious and anxious to see how many submissions we'll get. No one knows, but based upon what we're seeing in the level of interest, I expect it to be pretty robust. So that's my update.
And I want to say that we've got a proposal from Ted that we rename the project after you, David.
You'd be surprised how many times I've heard that. My only request is that it's commemorative and not memorial.
Yeah. Awesome. That's funny. I did have just 2 quick questions.
Sure.
And I must have missed this. So when you were talking about the hydrogen and the solar panels being generated, where are those going to be generated? I know at the across the street on the north side, but you mentioned the landfill.
So there's the county has a landfill up in the northern county area, and there's about
Dickerson?
No, not Dickerson. It's just the Oaks landfill.
Oaks. Yep. Okay.
And it's we've got about 40 or 50 acres that we're gonna carpet with solar panels. We've already actually got solar panels up on a few acres right now that's generating community solar for for the community's use, but we reserved the rest of that for hydrogen generation. And the development at Jeremiah Park, if you'll recall the proposed plan, and again, what you have seen is just what Design Collective had developed as a possible plan. We'll wait and see what's proposed by those who submit proposals, but they're expected conceptually to abide with that same framework where there'll be a large podium, if you will, that will provide for the parking of those bus operators and staff working at the depot. And over that will be a canopy of solar panels that will generate probably between 5 and 10 megawatts of solar energy, from which we will both power the electric buses and possibly use that for on-site hydrogen generation. At the depot across the street, across Shady Grove Road, we're installing 5 megawatts of solar power, and that is intended exclusively to power the electric buses that will be there. We do have some on-site hydrogen generation that is also being planned, and the MTOC facility on the other side of Shady Grove Road will have a mix, just as Jeremiah Park will, of hydrogen and electric. And the reason for the mix is that electric buses are excellent for shorter runs, but for the longer runs, bus transit runs that are characteristic of buses operating in the mid and upper county, they require longer bus routes that the electric buses technology currently is inadequate to address without mid-route charging, which is more expensive and delays the bus route. So hydrogen is the solution there. And frankly, based on current technologies, hydrogen is really the technology of the future, the near future at least, until some crazy scientist comes up with something better.
Understood. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Then my last question, and I probably should know this, but you say the target date is 2030. What exactly is that the target date for? What's supposed to happen by that date?
Well, it'll mean that all of the buses or the depot's complete and all the buses are operating out of that facility. The development of the site itself for the residential, what you folks at Crabs Branch or on the west side will look across and see, that development is likely to begin on or shortly before that deadline. So that either just before, it depends on the scheduling, which obviously we haven't worked out yet with our development partner for the depot. This current RFP is focused exclusively on the depot because we want that specialized focus. It does not include the master plan or sector plan development aspect of the east side. That will come as a separate proposal, again, because we want to get someone who's specialized in that, and that will actually be a sale of that property to that development partner, much as we did with the EYA on the west side. So the full residential development and all that you can expect to see will probably occur over the short-term period after that, probably 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So realistically, we're in 2025.
10 to 12 years.
12. So we're looking short of 20 years.
Well, probably
15,
not.
20 years?
Probably less than that. 2030 is less.
5 years.
5 years away, with the development taking place over the shortly after that. So another 3 to 5 years. So 10 years.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So that was the total you gave. So we are looking at 10 years. Okay. All right. That's important information for us to have.
The good news is, if I can be a little Pollyanna-ish here, the good news is that it's happening, and we have a reasonably firm schedule. And when I said that our development partner will include a financier, because we're we've told the world that's interested in this project. And by the way, this is going to be a hallmark project. This is going to be a project unlike anything Montgomery County's ever done. And frankly, as a public sector project, one of the largest that the public sector has seen in the country. So that's one of the reasons it's getting worldwide interest expressed in it. And as part of that, we're also requiring that they utilize some local businesses and all of the socioeconomic initiatives that characterize all of Montgomery County's approaches will be factors within this project. So we expect it to be a job creator and an economy booster over the next 10 years.
Well, that's what we want, especially for our development here. What's the total estimated project cost?
Oh, I knew
start
you.
to finish?
Someone was
Sorry.
gonna ask that.
I think it's important for us at the West Side to understand how much money is being put into it. So,
Well, that we expect, of course, we don't know for sure
yeah.
because we don't have any proposals yet. And obviously we will require of our partner, whoever that is, to go out and seek federal grants and other funding resources for this. But overall, the capital cost of the project, regardless of the funding source, is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's a big project.
Wow. Okay. I think I might have to stay here to see it come to fruition. It's going to be pretty darn nice, huh?
It's a motivator for me, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, well, that's good news. I don't know if anybody, either in the panel here, the committee, has any questions for David on what he has just presented us. Are there any questions? John, Carol, Ted?
No, but I put the link to the RFQ.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
In the chat.
Good.
Are there any questions from West Side folks? I know we have a couple on the call. Or is there anything specific you would like for me to ask related to the information we have just been presented? Okay, it doesn't look like it at the minute. Maybe they're typing. I did have one follow-up question, which is somewhat related, but not exactly. Last we spoke, and this was many meetings ago, Seth Adams was going to look at landscaping because, we're looking for some time.
Sure.
And I think
sure.
the architect that he had, or the person I was working with, left the job. So I haven't heard anything in about 6 to 7 months. So I don't know, David or Aaron, if you all can help me get somebody else. So with the spring coming, we want to get some landscaping.
We'll follow up with that. Aaron and I'll talk. As some of you may know, most of you probably don't know, there's been a wholesale staffing change at Montgomery County Schools. So Seth is no longer with the schools. We have a new superintendent.
Yeah.
There's been a massive change in the top echelon at MCPS. And I have spoken with the new superintendent about this, and he's very proactive and very interested. I underscored for him that the importance of the success of this project is schools getting back on track with its acquisition of electric school buses. He is aware of this, but I haven't had a follow-up meeting with him. I will. So, and at that meeting, I will mention that those who are no longer with MCPS made some very definitive promises and presented some definitive landscaping plans to the community, which I believe MCPS is still obligated to fulfill.
Okay, thank
Agreed.
you.
Thank you for bringing that up. Dawn actually has a meeting with the deputy chief of facilities for MCPS next week.
Is it the same person we met with when we did that, or somebody new? Okay.
And so we'll work that out. Dana Edwards was at our on-site meeting. She is
Still there. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll touch base with her too. And
yeah. The
thank
other
you
part
for
of that piece was that part of the proposal was, and this is especially critical for West Side, and I hate to make this meeting about West Side, but I'm going to do that anyway, is that a lot of bus drivers are parking on Crabs Branch. and
Oh,
they were
my.
going to try to have alternate parking, or drive them somewhere else or whatever.
Yeah, I
Because
can.
we really, our community needs that parking on Crabs Branch right now. So
I'm
it's
happy to
critical.
reach out to Michael, who was
Okay.
also there, and I
Yes,
think he's
Michael.
he's more of the operations, the day-to-day
Yeah.
operations. So
Okay.
book him, I think. Happy to do that.
Thank you. And then
But
Aaron, this question has come up a couple of times. Would the county consider striping those spots so that people are parked in a spot and not having wastage of those spots on Crabs Branch? I've asked a couple of times, but we striped our own spots in the community, and that's helped some. But I think that would help on Crabs Branch.
happy to ask DOT. Yeah, I don't know the
Okay.
answer,
Okay. Thank you.
but I will do that.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat here, so we can move along with our. Actually, we're right to you now, Aaron. Aaron, would you like to present us with any updates? And before you do that, David, thank you so much. I'm totally, totally just thankful for you and grateful for your interest in this project. And you're a true advocate, and we really appreciate everything you do here for us. So
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much. Yeah.
I am strongly advocating for your community. I understand that the county owes you guys a lot, and it's my intention to fulfill our obligations. Sadly, I'm leaving this meeting with homeworks. Well, I'll follow up with what I can get you on the additional development on the north side of the track.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It always happens that way, but we are a team, and we're working towards this common goal, which will be for
Indeed,
the betterment of Durwood. I mean,
exactly.
this sector plan, and all the promises that have been broken. Now, so many of our neighbors here were told this and told that, and we've discussed it at nauseum, but this would really mean everything to this part of the county too.
We're going to get
So,
it done. We are
yep.
going to get it done.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, sir.
My
Aaron,
pleasure.
you got the floor now.
Great. Well, thank you, and thank you, David. Purely in terms of implementation, obviously the east side, Jeremiah Park, or whatever it ends up being called, is and remains the focus for Dawn. We met with David and his team that first week of October after the final community meeting, at least in this round. And that continues to be almost an everyday thing, just to see how we at the council in your legislative body can ensure that's continuing to move forward. One other implementation related thing that Nkosi mentioned that I want to make sure you guys, I think you are paying attention to it, but continue to, is this Standish Place project. They came to this group earlier this year, I think, to present. And so
Yeah.
that is that's directly tied to your guys' mission. Not a lot we can say at this point, because if it does move forward, it will go before the council. But just thinking out loud, if that does go forward, it would be really good to get this group's thoughts on that project and what you think about it, good, bad, indifferent. And totally up to you whether you want to do that, but just wanted to point that out. In terms of other updates for me, not necessarily implementation or sector plan related, but we continue to work on issues in and around the sector. Safety of Shady Grove Road continues to be a huge issue. I think we've had a number of conversations with DOT in various communities along Shady Grove Road, all the way from you guys at Crabs Branch east or north toward Briardale, on the other side of 200 or the access road. And so we're continuing to push DOT to try to make as many safety improvements as possible. One thing they confirmed they will be doing is lowering the speed limit on Shady section of Shady Grove Road from 45 to 40 miles per hour. So while positive, obviously we're still going to have a speeding problem. And so that's where things like trying to get the state law around automated enforcement speed cameras changed is important. And I will be reaching out once we have a better understanding of how that looks for the upcoming state legislative session. That's also where things like the county actually is in the very early stages of a Shady Grove Road pedestrian and bikeway project. Very early stages, but that, could help to have support to keep that moving, to fund that, to accelerate that, and I'm happy to share information on that. And then the other thing that's come up, Shabuna, you mentioned this, also Sequoia, I think I saw on this call, reached out. Some stuff around the transfer station near you guys. And so this isn't directly sector plan related, but these are things we're trying to work out with our county DEP, who ultimately is responsible for that facility. It's a county facility. And, it has to do with, some of the fires there. We're trying to gauge that, how to prevent that. A lot of that is with these lithium batteries, we understand. Also other things like trash littering along, especially Shady Grove. It just seems like it's almost, it has to be related to trucks or people coming to that facility. It just doesn't make sense for it to be anything else. So trying to figure that out. Also, a not so minor thing that Sequoia mentioned to us, and I think I've seen actually now, is when it's only that entrance open on Shady Grove near 355 and people start queuing up before opening. I think Sundays, this is a big problem. Could be other days too, but that's creating some traffic issues because people do queue up before opening. Once it opens, it tends to move, but you could have people out there for 30 minutes, sort of around Shady Grove, almost around the curve at 355. That's not a safe traffic situation for anyone. So seeing if DEP can manage that better, and their contractor there on the site, Covanta. So that's just a number of things we're working on, but I'll leave my email in the chat, and as always, happy to answer questions, or if you think of something later, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. I was just going to mention on Crabs Branch Way, and it's the speed on Crabs Branch Way is still bad. And the other thing that the county could do to help us is the trees that line Crabs Branch Way, especially where it borders the west side. Those definitely need to be kept trimmed back because we have to make a lot of left turns or right turns to get on Crabs Branch from our community streets, and it's getting difficult to see again. And then also one thing that I really have a pet peeve with is the non-mowing of the median strips, and just the shabby conditions of the landscaping on both sides. But where we are, we maintain on our side of Crabs Branch, but the median strip to the school area is bad on many occasions. We still have some of those traffic control or those markers that mark the median down on the road. They haven't been replaced yet. I think there's two of
I thought
them.
we got at least one replaced, or at least taken away. I guess not replaced. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, so there's two. I saw two yesterday or this week. They're still there. And I don't know if somebody else ran over them, trying to make a
That's
left at the big
perfectly,
truck or something.
Yep.
But I can take a photograph and get back to you.
Yeah, happy, and don't even need to. I'll deal with it with the right folks in DOT.
Thank you.
And yeah, I look I understand the concerns about speeding along Crabs Branch itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, we asked DOT to do a traffic study. They did it. And this is not an uncommon thing that happens. They go out and they actually record speeds, and they did not find necessarily the evidence needed per our manual and uniform traffic control devices, which is a whole nother story of bureaucracy. That said, I mean, we can always keep pushing. There's always things we can do and suggest and try to reevaluate. And maybe those median signs continuing to be run over is a strong indicator that something else needs to be done. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it is definitely an issue. No exaggeration here. Um, I guess, we would hate to have somebody injured or killed or something, and then it would be, oh, yeah, okay, maybe it is speeding over there. You know, it's just one of those things. I mean, that's why
Yeah,
the
like
East Side development
unfortunately,
is so critical.
yeah, unfortunately, and this again is not uncommon, and I think we talked about this maybe a year ago. Crabs Branch on the other side of Redland, we had a high school student hit by a car. She survived and I think is doing okay. And actually in one of those previously unsignalized crosswalks, right?
Hmm.
And so we worked with DOT, and they actually installed the push button signal that you probably have seen. It's been up for
Yeah,
at least 6 months, I think.
yeah,
And so those things can happen, but you're right. We want them to happen before there's an actual crash, and so that's what we got to keep pushing on, and that's what we're here for. So
yeah. Well, I mean, we appreciate your efforts. We just, like everybody else, want some action. So something to really spur some change. So, but anyway, any questions from anybody, the members or anybody attending this meeting?
I see Ted's question. I will try to get that for you, Ted. Crabs Branch traffic study. Yeah.
Thanks you.
Thanks.
Hi,
Great.
this is, can, can people ask questions?
Sure. Sure. Go ahead. Yes.
I put in the comments a question about when you talk about the garages being too small for vehicles and that you have to park in the garages. Was that known to people? Was it fully disclosed? I
That is,
remember back when apartments were being built on Travilla by the quarry, that people were not told there was a quarry there and there were a lot of issues there. So
yeah.
did people know or did something change?
It's in our HOA docs. So when you purchase here, you should get those docs. So I know when I purchased here, we were told several times, and we did receive the documents saying this information. Now, whether folks received it and actually read it, I can't say. It's a lot of docs to have to read, but it is, part of our community bylaws. It is in our bylaws and in our covenants. So it is just like anything else over here. So my answer is I would hope they knew if they read the documents they received at some point.
Because it seemed like if they read them and saw that and knew that they were going to have a teenage driver or two,
Yeah.
that would have been pushed back a long time ago.
I think, I don't know. I mean, we were definitely told. My family was told. I know there's some families who received mixed information from either the people trying to sell the homes, saying, "Oh, you're going to have visitor tax, you can park on the street." But, when you purchase the home, you receive the docs and you're required to follow the docs, the community docs. So, it's probably a little bit of both because I do know that some people did not, they received mixed messages, mixed information. Um, they were told verbally maybe something, but in writing we have the docs. So I'm not an attorney, but I do know, that's the situation I'm aware of.
Okay, and just a quick thing, I put a comment in about M83 Mid-County Highway extending through to Red, out the woods and being right next to the park and houses. Its head. I posted something and very few people were back into play, and there is a limit sort of deadline in the next couple weeks where people and then how to connect that road to the ICC the rest of the trees in Durwood. So I'm done now.
Are you Mary Ann?
I am.
Okay, nice to meet you, Mary Ann. Thank you for your questions and the important comments. So, okay. All right, well, moving right along. Where are we on our agenda now? Nkosi, did you have any final updates? Because I think we've come to the end of our agenda for this evening.
Yeah, we have other topics. If there are any other topics for guest members.
Carol, did you have anything?
We just had a question pop up about what we may know about replacing the bridge over Mill Creek on Redland Road. If there are any updates on that.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can look into it. I mean, let me look into it and get back with the group about the latest there. My recollection is that's a project that is funded and coming up, relatively soon in the time span of these projects. Definitely sooner than the bus depot project. But let me get the latest on that, Ted, and circle back.
Hey, come on.
No disrespect to David. I'm just trying to
He's still here.
He's always listening. Because I know we had talked about that bridge project and the possibility of sidewalks too. That's not a possibility, at least during this project. But I'll try to get an update from DOT about where that's at.
Yeah, I think, like for our purposes, I think everybody here, we just want to see this area be like a real community and not just, I'll tell you how I feel sometimes living at West Side. We are like that sore thumb that's sticking out and there's nothing else around us, except for industrial areas and fires and trash and odors and buses, and tractor trailers going down Crab's Branch. So at some point, and we're getting that route. I think, we have to just be firm as a community. I know that West Side will mobilize and will continue to make progress with your help, of course. So, and also the other communities, Park Overlook and all the other communities in Durwood. We need this. And so I just hope that we continue to work together and not lose sight of what our master plan for this area really is asking for and calling for. We've got to get it done. So if there are no other questions, the development in this area is slow. My family is not too sure. Yeah, it is very slow. But this type of development, $500 million is a huge amount of money. And for the county to make this kind of commitment, is very meaningful. So we are, I think, personally in a much better position now than we've ever been in before. And I think we've got to keep that positivity and keep that sight. But it's not a quick project, as you have all heard. And we have to be realistic about it. So, so that's my soapbox about that. The next meetings coming up, I'll just give you a recap. Our future meetings are all going to be at 7:30 p.m. And the next meetings are on, actually, the next meeting for the year is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, 7:30 p.m. And it will be via MS Teams, as is this one. And so we will meet again. And if there's any other topics that you're interested in us talking about related to the master plan or development in our area, or, you want to invite a guest, we should probably talk about who we're going to have at our next meeting also. Who would be good to have here? Carol, Nkosi, John, Ted, any ideas?
That's a good question. I don't have anyone off the top, but still have some time to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we can keep that and try to try to,
Kasi, do you know what's happening with the Rockville WMATA annexation?
Nothing on that, John. We haven't seen anything from the city of Rockville regarding their desire to annex the metro station, both most of the west side and east side. So we haven't seen a petition yet from them.
The last I heard, WMATA was at the last. I think the last time Rockville appeared, WMATA has not prioritized development around Shady Grove as yet. So they may be, you know, I don't know whether they, you know, are ready to move forward, but it would be a big deal if they were, of course.
Yeah, and given WMATA's priority list for their station area development, the Shady Grove Metro is down at the bottom of the list.
Right,
Of their
right. I thought it was
stations.
like absolutely at the bottom of the list.
Okay, I'm being kind and generous. It's towards the bottom. So yeah, so we'll see what the people in Rockville, the mayor and council, and city staff are thinking regarding annexation. May come about next year, or maybe
Yeah,
later.
I thought it was not to diss the Shady Grove Metro Station or things. I thought it was way down at the bottom because it's got such infrastructure.
Correct, Carol, you're
Implications.
correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's not low hanging fruit. They'd prefer to do the easy stuff first.
yeah, that'll get done when the buses
Okay,
get
so
moved.
they're not a candidate for December.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, if I think of anything, I'll communicate with you.
Okay. Well, unless anybody else has any comments or any last thoughts, it is 8:42. We will see you guys on December 11th at 7:30 p.m. for our last meeting of the year. We'll have some exciting speakers. Maybe we'll ask Mr. David Dice to come back again and update us on the RFQs and all of that. Aaron will definitely, hopefully, be here as usual. He's our staple. And Nikosi, thank you so much for everything you're doing for our committee and for keep our sector plan going. But with that, I think we can adjourn the meeting. Any objections to adjourning the meeting? No? Okay, well, let's go
Thanks,
ahead and adjourn
everybody.
the meeting.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye.
so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.